and welcome to this episode of Community Voices Uganda on Civic TV. I am Mulliisa. I want to welcome all of you to this episode. It's a rather an honor for us as a community of Civic Space, but also the entire team at CCG to have you all here to discuss some of the events that keep unfolding in our country. And on this episode, we are paying keen attention to a subject rather sad and seemingly one we failed to fight as a country, something we call corruption. We want to take in interest to corruption, giving detail to one over the weekend, and a couple of weeks ago we had comments by the head of state while attending the opening of Fiesca sports activities in Bukedea, that is the home constituency of the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament. President came out to say that, he is willing and ready to fight on Anita's behalf. He says there are people who are trying to fight the Right Honorable Anita Mount. He says there are other people who are trying to fight the government, and oftentimes he includes, he says foreign agents, he says foreign powers, he says there are people who are sponsored here to try and carry on the fights. And such comments come in at a time when there have been efforts across the country by the various institutions, by citizens, by the young people of this country, coming to the streets to say enough is enough with corruption, enough is enough with embezzlement, enough is enough with nepotism and theft of government property and money and so on. And when the president earlier on gave a commitment to spearhead the fight against corruption, comes out to put out statements that are rather contrary to the commitment he made, it raises a lot of questions in terms of commitment by he himself, but also the government at large, in a bid to try and eliminate this vice in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen that are joining me on this call today, we are having an extensive conversation about President Museveni's commitment to fighting corruption in this country. We want to assess his commitment, and not him alone, but the entire government infrastructure, the institutions. We have the IGG, we have the anti-corruption unit at State House, we have the URA corruption units, the investors unit, CID, so many institutions that are mandated to fight this vice in the country. We want to assess the commitment of government and their performance in terms of making sure they achieve the desired goal in this whole fight. As we get in that conversation, I will firstly call you in to say hello to us and talk to us about yourselves and where you are, and briefly something that is interesting in the environment where you are. I see we have people from Mbale, we have people from Kapchorwa, we have people from Kanungu. Talk to us about your particular environment and what you think we should know about where you are before we get into the corruption conversation. I'll start with you, Mr. RDC. Gad Rugaju. Greetings and you're welcome to the show. How is your environment there?
As you've heard and said, my name is Gad Rugaju, Deputy RDC Kanungu, and I'm born in Kanungu district. So it's a district I know very well. Kanungu is situated at the border of DRC, especially Eastern DRC, where two of our borders have been closed due to fights in the DRC. We have a border of Cheshero that enters DRC and the border of Ishasha, and all of them are in Kanungu. So both two borders have been captured. The other side of DRC have been captured by M23, and now they are being governed or managed by the rebel group, the M23, and because of that, business is not as usual as it should have been. We are also bordering two national parks, that's Queen Elizabeth National Park and Blind Impenetrable National Park. In Queen Elizabeth Park, National Park, what makes it very unique is the climbing lioness among other animals in it. Then wind, we have the mountain gorilla, which is unique in East Africa and Africa as a whole. So that makes Kanungu unique from other districts. And security-wise, we are alert and we don't sleep, because if we have all those issues happening in the Eastern DRC, and we know this is where we have also been having ADF and that kind of thing. So we are alert, we are awake, but by God's grace, through UPDF, through the Uganda police, the place we have kept it calm. We don't have any insurgency in Kanungu. Business is normal apart from border business, which has been affected, but otherwise we are moving on. And as we've been sharing the topic of today, corruption. Corruption is, I hope you all know, it all begins with me and you, and the fight is between. So very many issues happen, especially in the local government, even in ourselves, we as local people, the wananchi. So it's something that I like hearing a lot. And me personally, I've been known for the fight against corruption. I am zero tolerant against.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Advocy. And the point to worry about the capturing of the border areas on the DRC side by the M23, and hopefully later we shall get to hear from you how that has generally affected the community. You said business is not as usual, but the impact on, for example, schools, churches, business, and so many other activities. But it is rather sad that that is happening, and we hope the authorities, both from Uganda and the DRC, can be able to address this situation as soon as possible. Let me invite Emily Namalwa. Please talk to us. How are you? How is your environment?
Thank you. Once again, I'm glad to meet you people, all participants. From Mbale City. I'm the deputy chairman in the division.
Greetings, welcome to the show. How is your environment?
Thank you so much. And I'm grateful to be a part of you today. In Kapchorwa, and Kapchorwa is a beautiful place. It's actually cold and freezing, but we thank God for the beautiful land that He has given to us. This is the land of champion, and we our own represent us in running, and that's what we are good at. And as well, Kapchorwa itself means home. So the people are welcoming, the people are hospitable, and there's so many into an adventure. And I believe moving forward, as business, also that sector where I have time to visit, tour, and get to know actually what is in the Bay as a region, and Kapchorwa in particular. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I should inform you that Cheptegei is a national asset, but nonetheless, you have the bragging right as the mothers and fathers who did bring him to this aspect. Thank you so much for that overview of Kapchorwa, and we're happy to have you. Lillian, greetings, welcome to the show. Talk to us.
Okay, my name is Nabutuwa Lillian. I'm a midwife working in a health center. I'm from Mbale, so I will support in Mbale. And I will strongly stand in for Mbale, though I'm in Kampala. Mbale is a very nice place with very, very hospitable people. We take strangers as our own. Then the Mbale, the Bududa, the Manafa, our origins are very fertile, very good environments. Everything is very nice. The environment and everything is so beautiful, the scenery and all that. It's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lillian from Mbale, and I can't wait to hear more from what people of Mbale have to say about this whole conversation that we have. I think Edward has not joined us yet. Emily, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I'm now back. Sorry, I had
Yes, briefly. Go and welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm still telling you about Mbale City, and Lillian has also summarized. So I have a team member about Mbale City. They are always most welcome, and we also have an industrial park where we are manufacturing so many things. You need to visit one of these days. Welcome everybody. Also to support our youth and our women in whatever we are going to do. And on the topic of question, surely as the discussion goes on, we shall talk more. I just welcome everybody to meet him.
Well, thank you so much, and we can't wait to hear more from you now. I want us to, in the next about 1 hour, have a deep conversation about this subject called corruption and how it is really playing out in our country. I'll start with you, Mr. RDC, and you being a leader, but also a representative of the president in Kanungu district. What do you make of the comments by President Museveni in saying that the people that are propping up corruption allegations against the Speaker of Parliament and indeed many of the other government officials are actually enemies of the country, and they are simply trying to downplay the progress of the NRM, and that he will confront them? Mr. RDC. In the next 3 minutes.
What I can give is that the president's effort to fight corruption has been obvious, and everyone knows his efforts to fight corruption. But as I had said in preamble, corruption begins with me and you. Yes, the head of the state has a lot to do in fight against corruption, but we as the people, we have a lot to do to help to stop this corruption. He himself, he has set the ball rolling. When the president or head of a state comes up to say, I am fighting corruption, simply means he has given us the political will and the endeavor to curb down corruption tendencies in Uganda. He has always been on the forward plan. He has come up with units, state house units, IGG, and he has always, by putting all those in place, it simply shows that he's not only talking about corruption, but he himself is out fight. And I remember when these young people had actually what they called a cut and copy and paste from Kenya, when these people were fighting and demonstrating. The youth here, they wanted to do the same using cut and paste. But the president said, please follow the right procedure. And if you, and this is him as a head of state, he said, if you had organized very well in a proper way, even me as the president of the Republic of Uganda, I would have joined your demonstration against this corruption.
Mr. RDC, if you allow me, if young people come out with placards written, stop corruption, if you're corrupt, resign, which better way of organization would you expect from these young people in terms of fighting this vice at the level of the citizen?
If you follow what happened, maybe you using the Kenya as an example, the people who began the demonstration, they had a very good intention. But in the middle, they were infiltrated by evil people who now began stealing and burning buildings. Actually, we are seeing the people who had begun on a good mood or good motive, even themselves, they again now turned to first fight the other people. So here, it simply means the security of Kenya did not play a good role. If they had played a better role, they would have known that while these people are planning a good move, there are other people planning evil motives to actually dirty their money. So Uganda, why
does that
did
mean that you people in security now have to foil the entire effort in the name of preventing the bad people? That protects the ones with a good motive.
Now, this is what they always say. When you demonstrate, and for example, you are demonstrating going to the parliament, there were some gaps to be filled in. The question number one, parliament does not sit every day. The question which were posed to them was, are you going to the plenary? Are you going to the office of the parliament,
Speaker?
the speaker's office? So the message was not clear. Are you going to the plenary? Are you going to the office of the speaker? Because there is a procedure. If you are going to the office of the speaker, you seek for an appointment. If you are going to the plenary, you go when the plenary is on and you seek permission and they prepare for you where you are going to sit. Number two, the question was how many people are moving to the parliament. We are not everyone is going to move. The parliament cannot accommodate every crowd. They were saying, can you sort out people who are going to present this? If you are going to the plenary, then they will allow you. You go and present your issue, but we need to know how many people are going there to present this matter. Not everyone. So where they were lacking is that they moved as a crowd. Then as a crowd, the intention can be good, but they'll be infiltrated by some evil people who will destroy the message.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Mr. RDC. That's really good overview of how the reactions of the state and security came out. I want to bring in you, Emily. Emily, you see, when we talk about this subject, corruption and its persistence in the country, who should hold government? Because since 1986, if I be fair to the NRM government, they've been talking about corruption and having it fought. On many occasions, the president has come out to say he's going to crush every corrupt official. Who in this country should now be in position to fight or to hold this government accountable for the failure of fighting corruption in the country? Emily.
Thank you, Philip. As you know very well, this corruption thing did not start in the NRM government. It started way back in the other governments, especially in that of President Dada, where he chased those other races on business, these people his money and things like that. So the NRM government trying to fight corruption. It has played its part, and it is imperative, like the RDC said, corruption starts with me and you. It means by holding government responsible. It is me to hold, but before I hold government, I have to hold myself. I have to give an example. I'm the deputy mayor who is in charge of administration. And it means anybody who needs a stamp on a document comes to my office. And it is already in people's minds that before I go to the deputy mayor's office, I have some money with me, which is not the case. So when somebody comes in the office and after stamping for him or her, picks money to give you without you asking for it, do you accept it or you leave it? So that is where now corruption starts from, the giver and the receiver. So as we hold the government accountable, because it is now us, we must hold ourselves accountable first before we proceed to government. Otherwise, the government is saying it is wrong. Make sure that this corruption thing is stopped. However, there is need for much serious mindset change of our people. To know that to get a service from a certain office, I do need to pay money. And also the leaders, before they're elected into office, before holding them accountable, have we elected the right people? Or we have given someone in that office because of his or her money? So that when someone reaches office, is now trying to get back his or her money, the one he or she put in campaigns. So as we hold the government accountable, we also have to hold ourselves accountable by knowing if it is an office, we have elected the right people. We are not giving them because of money or what like that.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. That's really good to understand that actually the fight should start with the individual level efforts to see that some of these practices are not available in our society, including at family or village or parish or city division level. Thank you, Mayor. I want to invite Gloria. Gloria, you see, the president on a couple of occasions has come out to say he knows all the corrupt people and he has said he's going to fight them. But there seems to be no consequences for all the people that at least are suspected to have participated in corruption tendencies. There are people that we talk about, this money disappeared and it was in this office and the person is in the office. What is the issue with us failing to act, especially at institutional level? IGG, police, and all these other agencies that we have in the country. Why is it that there is no consequence for the behavior of corruption, embezzlement, theft, and any other forms of official misuse in this country? Yes, Gloria.
Oh, thank you so much, Phil. I think I would first re-echo that every citizen is responsible to hold a leader accountable, right from the village, parish, to the district levels and so forth and so on. We have the power, we have the mandate to identify where things are going wrong and step up and do the needful. I think matching to the match that we organized to do, which actually failed us, is one of the ways that we respond to holding our own leaders accountable and ensuring that those loopholes are attended to. So I would say it's really a controversial issue that it's actually frustrating when leaders or individuals make controversial statements on taking conflicting actions, especially on important issues like corruption. And we have seen it happen in Uganda, where our own president has a statement to make, saying, you know what, I will ensure that the people that are corrupt are brought on board and face their punishment, but yet no action is taken. And actually, following the State of the Nation address that he made in 6th June, Museveni informed Ugandans that he received intelligence briefings to confirm that there is a corruption and involving in the Ministry of Finance and in Parliament. And also, that's not only the places where corruption is taking place. We see also in the government, we see the embezzlement of funds, we see bribery, and we see also corruption. Talk about the public service. We see citizens often pay bribes. Talk about the business sector. Talk about the political. Talk about all these sectors. So you see that, yes, our own leaders, even our own president, comes out and say, yes, there are these loopholes. Yes, there are these issues, but no action is taken, because even the citizens themselves are afraid to respond. They're afraid to step up and say, you know, this is this and that. Yes, but we have tried making efforts in all these aspects, even in our local governments, even in our youth leaderships, even in other sectors, the NGOs, they have tried to ensure that they curb corruption in one way or the other, and even bring out the perpetrators of corruption. But at the end of the day, we fail because the system up is the one failing us. Yes, they say we are fighting corruption, and the other time they will make a statement and say, you know what, we are defending. They go again to defend the corrupt. So I think there is a lot to be done, and there is a very huge gap that needs to be bridged in terms of the corrupt, and in terms of handling corrupt. Actually, I was an interface with one soldiers, and what that he made, that for us in Uganda, we don't mess up. If actually people come to advocate, if people come to the streets, for us, we shall shoot without mercy. And they gave an example that if actually the President Ruto had invited them, they would actually show them their place. So it means that we have been put in a place where, yes, we are governed, and we lead you, and you have no say about anything. And all they say is, we have to do it a certain way, just trying to put it in a way that for us, putting us in a place where we need to feel comfortable and feel wrong about what we are doing, and feel wrong about what we are championing about. Yet even when we do it in a right way, it is still wrong. So I feel there is still a lot to be done. Even our leadership saying that president can be able to end corruption, it is not just it. There is still a lot that...
Thank you, Gloria, for that really amazing submission. And it is important, like you mentioned, to think about the avenues of impunity that exist in the spaces of leadership in our country. Lillian, you see, when government continues talking about the fight of corruption, but we see no improvement, in fact, in some of the cases, things are getting worse. When you look at some of the sectors in the public service, when you look at things to do with contracts, things to do with jobs in government, from the central government to way down at the villages and the parishes and so on, looks like it doesn't look like a competent way of doing things. What is the effect of this failure on the citizens, way of having trust in their government, that it's a government that can deliver on the promises it makes, and indeed they should be aligning with whatever the government puts out there in terms of policy and ways of managing society? Yes, Lillian.
Thank you, moderator, but I request you pardon the question for me.
As a citizen of this country, yes, as a citizen of this country, when you observe the way government has continued to manage the corruption situation, earlier we've had a conversation about how people are corrupt and they are not out there to face the cost of law, maybe they are not relieved of their duties in these various offices and so on. Does that in any way affect citizens' trust in the ability of this government to deliver on the promises it makes to its people?
Thank you so much, moderator. First of all, a culprit of I've been affected by corruption in one way or the other.
Okay.
Beginning with like I said, I'm a medical worker, I'm a midwife, but trying to join government has been very hard, and I can say it is very hard, and the days and the years to come, it is going to be what? More hard. Reasons being is, before you get a job in the country, you have to pay in some money to the government officials. Before, let me give an example. When you're on a road, people who are using public means, you are going in a taxi, you find a driver stopping, and also a government official, a traffic officer, is receiving the money. You go to big places, before you want to see a big person, you want to get a signature for free, but you need to see you need to see what you need to first pay for those things before you even pay for a signature you're supposed to receive for free. So how is it affecting, or has it affected the citizens? I say yes. First of all, there is that erosion of trust in the public institutions, whereby when citizens observe that the public institutions are corrupt, they may believe that these institutions are unable to serve their interests effectively. This perception will always lead to the loss of confidence in the government's ability to provide the services. Also, I personally, if I really look at this and the way it has affected me, I will be like, I am not voting. So that if voters apathy, like why would I really vote? Because if I vote, I am buying that manipulation and corruption. It may affect me, but remember this thing, if I have been a victim of corruption over and over, it's affecting my children, my family. It's a chain. You might not have gotten involved in it directly, but trust me, it affects your people indirectly through you, but indirectly. So everyone is affected. Then also people will always
Really?
withdraw. Yes, please.
If you allow me, for example, in the situation you talk about of getting into government, for example, or maybe trying to get a signature to pursue something or that, what happens in the event that you say, I know this is my right, I'm supposed to get this service free of charge and from you?
Pardon? What is the right? Pardon?
I'm asking, for example, if you are looking for a government job and all you need is getting to maybe the office of the chief administrative officer or the district health officer, and they need to sign on some papers, and they're asking for some money. But you tell them, you are a government official, and it is my right to get a service from you as a government official. Does that in any way affect your progress in trying to achieve what you want from that office?
I say yes, because if I enter that office and the person is asking for money to receive a signature or the money to receive a job, and I confront the person by telling the person, I have the right to receive this and this, trust me, I will walk out of that office without a job or without a signature. Because these people, they have a backup from the government, their fellows, and he knows, not even the backup, but he knows, like, what will you do to me? He knows our government will not, our government is trying to fight the corruption, but it is not picking out those people directly. Instead, it's supporting them. So first of all, the person will tell you, I am not going to give you this job, but this person, I've given him the money. People have rioted. I have come to your office and I've told you I'm not going to give you the money. I will move out to the signature. I am the one who is going to be at the loss at the moment. Because for him, he's losing nothing.
Natamba, you're most welcome to the show. We're happy to have you. Greetings. And as you see, you send your greetings to the panel and to the people watching us. I want you to talk to this corruption that continues to thrive in this country. How does it affect economic development in our country? Yes, Natamba.
Thank you very much, Philip. And my sincere apologies. In the video, and the network was really bad until I had to start. Good afternoon, viewers and listeners. And allow me also to really, yes, good afternoon to you. I want to really to also join the panel and welcome them on this important discussion. And most importantly, thank Civic Space TV for giving me an opportunity really to discuss this important issue. Only that maybe your question, I think, was not clear to me. Kindly, if you can reply.
Yeah, that's very key. I'm asking, because we're having a conversation around corruption, and we're saying, how does the persistence of corruption in our country affect the economy of this country, Uganda?
Oh, very interesting question. Thank you so much. First of all, really, maybe to add my voice on the panelists, I wanted actually to describe corruption as any dishonest or fraudulent behavior where someone uses his position and power really to benefit themselves on expense of others. So corruption is where when we are discussing it, we need to be really cautious of it. However, like any other African country, Uganda is not exceptional, and we have seen corruption scandals growing day by day. And for sure, I want to thank the president for some efforts he has put in these recent days, especially since from the State of the Nation address on 5th, as my colleagues said, because he's showing that really he knows, and he knows where the power of corruption is. Only that the will is still minimal. So I want to thank him for coming out, but again, he cannot play that role alone. Otherwise, corruption is everywhere in all sectors in Uganda. Although there are some hidden sectors where you cannot see corruption alive, but then there are some other sectors and departments and agencies where you would see corruption everywhere. For example, in police, when you are traveling on these our highway roads, for us we use public means, you would see how the drivers are bribing day and night, stopping. They don't even ask them anything, but they just pay. Applying for jobs in our district local governments. So all these we really what we know in corruption, they have affected development. Because the money, to me, the money that is being swindled from government is almost a quarter to what is put into development. For example, we have seen, actually, even for me, I want to start actually talking about parliament, our parliament. You first see how much money we pay to our members of parliament, how much money we pay every month. So how much contribution do they make apart from policy making in our communities? Are they there? What contribution do they make apart from, yes, their role is to legislate. We know that they have been performing. But having 6 members of parliament in one district of Ntungamo, maybe I forgot to introduce myself. I'm so sorry about that. But I'm Edward Natamba, working with Southwestern Institute for Policy and Advocacy, which is based in Ntungamo district. Ntungamo district has 6 members of parliament. So when you compute and you see how much is being spent on those members of parliament in district, and the value they are adding in our district, really it doesn't tally. Meaning that the funds that which is actually collected from taxpayers, which is from taxpayers, from citizens, the funds that would be put into service delivery is more or less than the funds that is being spent on paying these salaries. We have seen actually even the president increasing the intelligence security, the security in our districts. Now we have the deputy assistant, deputy RDCs. So we have 3 RDCs in one district, you can imagine. Then we have the DISO, we have GISOs, we have PISOs. All those, I don't know the value they are adding, because even one DISO, one intelligence officer, working with a district police commander, working with one RDC, they would really offer security in a district. So what you're asking is very true, because it has corruption has hindered development, because we are not getting services the way we would be getting. Medicine, drugs are not in the hospitals, the schools, government schools. You can imagine a secondary student gets 60,000, roughly 60,000 on average as capitation grant. That is the money that should be catering for that student for the whole term. In primary school, it is 10,000. So we should be putting a lot of funds in service delivery, but the administrative costs have taken a bigger portion, and actually even there is more money that is being spent along the way, because the systems have collapsed and the administrative units have increased. You can imagine the number of districts we have, the town councils. There are so many workers there. Yes, they have created employment, but then there are some other people who don't have who have not benefited from employment, who need services which are not there. So really, it is a very big. Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Natamba, thank you so much for that detailed overview. Mr. Advocy, I want to come back to you, Mr. Rugaju. You see, when you listen to all those conversations, there is a general acceptance that actually corruption, one, exists in society, but two, the efforts to fight it have continued to fail. And we are living in a global community. Every other country, when you look at how things are managed, say in Europe, in Asia, in North America, and so on, I want you to speak to the effect of the continued corruption tendencies, both at the administrative level, but also in the citizens, to the international, way of presentation of our country. In other words, how does the international community look at Uganda, a country that has failed to fight corruption? Advocy.
There is corruption in Uganda. I accept it, and the president himself has accepted that. But I also said that corruption begins with you. Everyone is responsible for fighting this corruption because, as you have said, and also the presenter who has just finished, you will see a traffic officer stopping a vehicle. He puts up a hand. When he puts up a hand, he has not said actually why he's stopping. Probably he wanted to tell him that there is a truck that has blocked the road ahead. But when he puts up a hand to stop him, the other one will bypass the traffic officer. He goes ahead, comes back with money in the hand, and gives this to the traffic officer, meaning that actually two of them, both the traffic officer and the driver, they are all corrupt. So corruption is within us, and it is us that are nurturing it. And all of us should get into fight against corruption. It is a mandate of every citizen to hold their leaders accountable. We should hold our leaders accountable, whether at the district level, whether at any level. We should be able to fight corruption at all means. And this one is an exception. What we needed from the president is just the political will. From the president, the political will, which he has given us. He himself getting involved personally to fight corruption.
So
Also,
Mr. Advocy, when you say that the political will is there and everyone should fight corruption, but then when citizens stand up to say that, oh, this person is corrupt and we call for his or her resignation, and the president says, no, this one cannot resign and I'm willing to protect them, isn't that a contradiction in the statements of the president? But also, how can the citizens now go on to fight when the one who has the instruments of enforcement and power says the contrary?
Like which example can you give?
Recently, there has been reports, a number of them, where the Speaker of Parliament has been cited in corrupt embezzlement tendencies at Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Citizens came out to call for her resignation, and the president, more than twice, has come out to say, this is my daughter. You are attacking her because of foreign interests, and she will not resign.
There is what they call conflict of interest, especially when people who are fighting the corrupt mix other issues like politics. It becomes a mix of things. They need to come up with one message. And one message will be, we are holding the speaker accountable for ABCD. But if you say, we are holding the speaker accountable for this and this, and therefore we are doing this, and the president looks deep and investigates and says, I think there, it is not only fighting the speaker. I'll quote an example from Kenya. They began by fighting the bill which was being presented. They said the president should not sign the bill. The message was clear. I want you to get me clear on this point. The message was the president should not sign the bill. The president said, since it is many people saying that I shouldn't sign the bill, I will not sign the bill. He said, I'm not signing it. Down after when he said that, did it stop the demonstration From there, they said, okay, thank you for not signing it. Now, next, we want you to resign. Can you imagine? You have moved from what has actually triggered the demonstration to now into politics. So now, I wanted you to know that when you are beginning something, security also gives feedback. And feedback, how do we give feedback? We detect that there is a problem, crime. Then when we detect the crime, we investigate and we try to curtail it. To curtail is actually to stop that thing from happening. You squeeze it and make sure it doesn't bring other bad elements. Because the thing is good. To come up and say, Speaker, resign, it's okay. But after saying, Speaker, resign, you are going to say all ministers resign. After ministers have resigned, President will resign. Where are you heading? It simply means there is someone behind you. The message is not actually the speaker. You are just hiding again behind the speaker, but the message is bigger. Now, if security...
Mr. Aradis, if you allow me, maybe instead of saying there is someone behind them, it is because of the failure of the continuous calls for the resignation and action about corruption that pushes these people to now say, if you cannot fight, then resign.
No, but there is a best way to tell the president to take the president out of the chair. And that is through the ballot. He has been voted, unless that is office. Then the nationals can stand and say, resign. Not the opposition, not the outside, the Western influence. It should be from the people who put him there, not the Western influence. Because behind, then you will say, wait a minute, that one will spoil. Vision is very good, but you find some elements, some bad elements are hiding behind that. And for example, there is no demonstration that can take place without demonstration. How can a demonstration which is local be funded by an international body? Then you say there is no international influence. Western influence is the one spoiling this. Otherwise, the local people, they would come up with their demonstration and they would demand for something and get it. But when they realize, when you are in a demonstration, someone is funding you heavily. And when they come to investigate who is funding you, they find there is a Western influence. I can assure you the state is there to protect.
Maybe you could help us. What evidence do we have that there was some...
you're not clear. I'm not getting your voice.
Do you hear me now?
Hello.
Do you hear me? I hear you. Do you hear me? I think you have some challenges out there, but...
I'm not getting your voice.
Okay, I'll get back to you briefly. Meanwhile, let me bring in Gloria here. Gloria, let's talk to the morality of this whole situation. You see, we were in a society, Africa, known for people who are very cautious of where they are, what they do. We talk about discipline, the upbringing, people who care for others. How did you get to a position where people now only focus on what benefits them at individual level, no longer what benefits the entire community and country at large? Mr. Advocy, do you hear me?
Your voice is breaking. We can't hear you clearly. Your voice is breaking.
How is it now? Do you hear me clearly now?
Me, I'm hearing you. I don't know about the rest. I'm hearing you now.
I'm also hearing you, Philip. I think maybe they have issues, but we are hearing you now.
Okay. Thank you. I was calling in. Gloria, you hear me, right? So I want us to speak to the question of morality and the values of the African society, the values of trustworthiness, caring for one another, the values of love, and the love and caring for the common good. What happened to those values that today people are focusing on enriching themselves, taking whatever does not belong to them for the benefit of themselves and their families as opposed to the country? And I was calling in Lillian to speak to that. Lillian?
Yes, Phil, pardon your question. You're breaking. Your voice is breaking. Pardon your question, please.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, but remember when you speak a sentence, some words are cut off. But pardon your question, please.
Maybe you need to shift a little bit from where you are, because fortunately all the other colleagues are hearing me well. That means you might be having challenges with your network.
Please
So
kindly
meanwhile, I was
pardon
asking,
your
you hear me
question,
now?
please. Yeah, pardon your question, please.
The African society is known for values of honesty, the values of love for one another, the values of respect, the values of communal sharing and caring for the common good. But today, what we see is people caring for only what benefits them individually or with their family. What informed and created the shift from our traditional values to the values of selfishness that we see in society today?
Okay. Thank you so much. Initially, actually, even before the colonization and everything, we all know our countries, Africans, we are loving, hospitable. We what? We love ourselves. But why he's asking like the shift from communal values of respect, love, caring towards one another, individualistic attitudes in some African societies. This one has come in, or it is causing this. I think it's because of urbanization and what? Modernization. Modernization has come in whereby people have adopted lifestyles and values which emphasize the individual success and personal achievement. So when we are modernized, everything is trying to change. People are now shifting and they are leading to a focus on self-interest and personal gain, sometimes at the expense of traditional values like communal support and caring. But even the urbanization, as more people move from rural areas to cities in search of better opportunities, the traditional communal lifestyle is often replaced by a more individualized urban culture. People forget about, someone forgets where they come from, and you change completely. So your interests also change. You actually copy the way of living of the people in the urban area. So I stand on the urbanization and the modernization. Then at some point, the economic pressure, you feel you want to compete with each other. Poverty or economic hardships, like people want to have a survival mindset. It's no longer for God and my country, it is for God and me. Like someone wants to survive, her and the family, him and the family. People prioritize their own needs and of their immediate families over the needs of the broader community. So it in this difficult economic conditions, the struggle ends up like people are not even willing to help people are not willing to help others. But also I bring in the point of the Western influence, the influence of Western culture over, like through the media, education, and global interactions. This has introduced individualistic values to African societies. Remember, the Western side deals with the independence, the self-reliance, and personal freedom, which is conflicting with our traditional communal values. I think that's what I have. Maybe I can add on also the weakening of the traditional institutions, erosion of extended families. This one may not look a very strong point, but traditionally African studies were structured around the extended families and clans, and this had given out social support and fostered strong bonds. Now, but these days the decline of these structures because of the urbanization and the migration and changing family dynamics. Now someone only deals with their own people. They don't want to know about others. There's no that mutual understanding, even disrespect for elders is now totally off. That is what I think.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for that. Emily, you see, what we talk about is something that speaks to the morality of our community, like the RDC said. and you did yourself, that corruption is everywhere. It's with me, it's with my neighbor, it's with the government official, it's with the religious leader and cultural leader, and everywhere. When you look at this situation we've gotten ourselves into, how can we turn it around and see that we have a better society that respects what is for the community as opposed to taking what is for all of us for oneself?
Okay. I think in the previous discussion, I was talking about mindset change. You know, every time we know something has to be like this, and we are all in that direction, we shall always go that direction. So in Uganda, it has been known that before you go in an office, like I mentioned before, if someone has not asked you for money, you move with some money. But if we come out as the government, the leadership, the citizens, and sensitize our people, change their mindset, that the people in offices are supposed to give them services free of charge, not for money. Then we come to communities, really, and so we have to make sure that they might change in our communities. And not starts to move like that. The secondary, so the government has to ensure the funds that are sent down here as things like wealth creation, things of PDM, it is for development. So that people have in their mind that as I get this money is for development, it is not a token of thanks. But when someone asks for money return, for example, for a PDM loan of 1 million, and someone is asking you 100,000 before they can process your loan, the corruption we are talking about, it is because it is in mindset that this money is a token of thanks from the president. But if the government comes up with certain programs to end corruption, it has to ensure that it brings out clear information about that program to the people, so that are not conned, or how should I state it? It is like conning them because they think it is a token. So someone thinks out of 1 million, if I give 200,000, I think it is okay. So me, I think mindset change and to get information about certain programs, starting from the grassroots, the families, the communities, the political leadership, the technical staff of the public servants. I think when we do that, it will really help us in fighting this corruption collectively.
Gloria, do I have
Philip?
you back? Yes, please. Yes, please. I hear you. Thank you for that submission. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. Gloria, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Gloria,
Yes,
if I
can
have
hear
you,
you,
Gloria. Yes, thank you. Look, one of the things that are affected by corruption is service delivery. When you talk about education and the construction of classes, payment of teachers, hospitals and medicine, construction of roads, and all these other services that government is supposed to provide to its citizens. With a keen interest in a specific area of residence, what is the impact of corruption on the delivery of such services in your community?
Come again. I didn't get you well. My network, but
what is the impact of corruption on the delivery of social services in your area? Services such as education, healthcare, transport infrastructure, roads, railways. I don't know if you have a rail line in your area. What is the impact of corruption on some of these services in your community?
Okay, thank you so much. I think we have talked about corruption being widespread, and it is also happening within our communities, especially even in the local government sectors. I think I would say on the public services and deliveries on a number of
thank you very much, Philip, and really sorry about the network. But yeah, about the implication, before I reach that point, Philip, allow me really to respond just 2 points that the RDC mentioned. Am I allowed?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. I had Mr. Gad Rugaju, my friend, where he commented that the president investigated the speaker. I think that's where, as a country, we are going very wrong. Because we have 3 pillars of government: judiciary, legislature, and executive. So I don't know where the president really gets that power. Yes, he's the overall, but he's a part of the executive. So the speaker should be independent. Actually, even as citizens, we have more power to investigate the speaker and know that he's corrupt. And then, if we decide to demonstrate that she should resign, then we have that right. But when you see one pillar at least checking the other one, or sidelining with the other one, then it means the whole system is really collapsing. And the second one is that we have reached at a point in most countries in Africa where the ballot cannot remove a president, where the ballot cannot remove an MP. So the citizens have no any other option apart from demonstrations. And for me, I want really to request the country, let us not use a lot of power, a lot of force, shooting to citizens, because they have reached an extent of actually having any other option. Because we have seen the parliament itself, the majority, they are very corrupt. So we have no any other option. Otherwise, I think the citizens were very right to say enough is enough. Can we have this? So let them get space. So that's what I wanted to comment, Bwana Philip. And going back to your question about the implications of corruption, to me, I project really a very terrible situation where we are not going to have services to the local citizen. And always, every time the president is talking, he's talking about the 30% of Ugandans who are still in absolute poverty. So how do we help those people, the 30%, to make sure that they come up? Remember, SDG, remember, the theme is leaving no one behind. How do we make sure that we pull up those people that cannot afford even a single meal a day? We have them in Uganda. So really, I'm saying that if corruption continues at this pace, because I think people are fighting for scarce resources, because the population have grown, the resources are still the same. So people are struggling. You will find that even the schools for government, the government schools, even the government hospitals, the infrastructure, everything will be in a terrible situation. Because where I'm seated now is a government school, a secondary government school. I think for the last 20 years, they have never constructed any building by government. So you can imagine if we keep at that trend, and how many schools are in this country, and we don't bring resources really, we don't tap into those resources that come, we embezzle them, then these even corrupt officials, they are put in prison, tomorrow they come out. At the end of the day, these social services will not be available. The roads, you find a road, somebody is having a contract. Instead of constructing that road in 2 years, it takes 6 years. The citizens make noise, but they have nowhere to go and report. You report in this office, the office you are reporting in is the one that actually took some portion of money from that contractor. You can imagine. So we are heading to a situation where people will not, actually they will become hopeless and you find them demonstrating, because we have seen this starting, only that because of lack of space, some really find it a problem. But people are becoming tired, and the only way to express their tiredness and really to express their tiredness is to come on the streets and start demonstrating. So the government should put a lot of effort and make sure that really leaders, I mean people in these positions who should be giving services to the people, really do that. Because I always tell people that being in an office is just, it's not that you have to be there, but maybe we can be having same books, same qualifications, but we can't all be in the same office. So when you are there, use it profitably to make sure that the other citizen also benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Natamba, for that comprehensive elaboration of how you see the future unfolding for this country if we do not act up about corruption. And it's a terrible one. It's one we would not wish for our country. Colleagues, we have about 10 minutes to the close of the show. And now I want us to speak to solutions, possible solutions to this situation, because we can't keep in the scheme of having corruption. People have no services. We have officials that should be in prison now. We have officials that are speaking recklessly. We can't be here. How do we get out of this situation and we have a country that is running efficiently, effectively, and a situation that really puts out the strength of this country to the international community? I will start with you, Lillian. How do we get out of this situation?
Thank you so much, moderator, for the opportunity. Okay. How we can get out of this situation, I'm going to really bring out what I think, what can be done. First of all, I think reinforcing the anti-corruption laws, because we have the anti-corruption laws, but whenever they're doing their work, the government will always come in, or will always stop them, or less funds that will support those anti-corruption like courts to have to their way to establish. So there is no funds like that delayed high profile corrupt officials really face justice. So when we reinforce these laws and these anti-corruption companies or the courts coming, yes, the laws will really help us. Then I also think we can enhance transparency and accountability. How? This is by the public access to information. Implementing and enforcing laws that guarantee public access to information, like the budgets, procurement process, expenditures, how things are running. We need to know as the public, we need to access. If, we are humans, if we explain to, trust me, we're going to understand how our funds are being spent and how everything is coming about. So transparency will reduce the opportunities for corruption. Then we can also always strengthen the institutions still under the anti-corruption agencies. If they can be strengthened, the institutions can be strengthened, then they can really try to fight the corruption thing. Lastly, because we have little time, the political will and leadership, strong leadership commitment. The fight against corruption must start at the top. Political leaders, including the president, they must demonstrate a strong commitment to fighting corruption by leading an example and holding even high-ranking officials accountable, not supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian, for that solution overview of what you think ways in which we can fight this corruption in this country. Madam Emily, thank you for joining again. We are getting to the close of the conversation, and we're using about 2 minutes to talk about the possible solutions, both mid-term and long-term, that can assist us in the fight against corruption in this country. Yes, Emily, how can we fight corruption conclusively from Uganda? Emily?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. What are some of the recommendations you have for the fight against corruption as we conclude?
One of the things, like I mentioned in my earlier submission, the government come up with a strategy on how they can do mindset change right from the grassroots to the top, so that our people from the grassroots cannot expect anything from the leaders when they come to ask from them what's expect money from them. So when we do the change for someone so that services are not for money, we are fighting corruption. Then we work hand in hand to ensure that our youth have created jobs, because we are looking for jobs everywhere, and where we are looking, there are not jobs. So we do a collective effort to ensure that our people have jobs. Maybe the ones that are created as individuals or groups, so that someone is not swayed away by the small handouts that are also corruption. Then we also encourage parents to impart this value in their children while they're still at home, or also teachers or the children at school, to always tell them about this issue of corruption, because for us as elders, we are going, but the future of Uganda is to move. So by making sure that we start with our children from home, from school, in churches, in mosques, tell the voice of corruption and how bad it can be, we shall be assured of the
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. iPhone, I hope this is Gloria. Gloria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, apologies.
Yes, please. What are your recommendations to fight against corruption?
Okay, thank you so much again for this opportunity. I will just say that corruption is always embedded in societal norms and also cultural practices and institutional weaknesses. And this actually makes it hard to eradicate corruption overnight. And also the institutional limitations. You see, president may face constraints from existing power structures, and actually it causes an inefficiency and limited resources. And I believe that this actually calls for collective efforts and collaboration from government, the civil society organizations, talk about the private sector, and as well the citizens. Also looking at systematic reforms by addressing the underlying causes, and such as the weakness in institutions, the inequalities, and poverty. These are some of the areas that should be actually looked into. Then also talking about the cultural shifts, changing societal attitudes and norms that actually perpetuate corruption. And I will finally say that while the president can drive progress in ending corruption in Uganda, it will require a sustainable, inclusive, and comprehensive approach that goes beyond one person's effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that recommendation, and we hope it can be picked up by those in positions to influence policy, but also management change in our society. And Mr. Natamba, from SOWIPA, some of the solutions you've looked at and researched about that can assist our society in combating corruption.
All right, thank you so much. One, I will start from the recommendation of making, enforcing our laws. Enforcing our laws, especially those on corruption and policies. We have enough policies, we have laws, but implementation have been really not been good. And actually countries come and copy what we have here, but they go and implement. Our neighbors here in Rwanda, their laws are very clear. Talk about the border rider, talk about the bus driver, talk about the police person. Everything is very clear and it is implemented. Why can't we do that and also copy Maybe they are copying our policies. Can't we copy their implementation strategy and make sure that we enforce? Why am I saying this? I stay in local government. I stay in the local communities. We have seen some people who are involved in corruption scandals. You report, they go to anti-corruption court. They spend 1 month. They are again suspended on the job. But after 3 months, you find them back on the same job. What they can do better is transfer such a person who is implicated in corruption scandals to another center, really. I think we need to, if we are to fight corruption, we need to enforce and put some stringent laws. Secondly, that government, district local governments and lower local governments keep on displaying government releases. The little money that comes on the ground in our district, in our sub-counties, let it be really displayed, and actually let them be on the radio giving information to citizens. There should also be restructuring of MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, because, as I earlier said, some of these have become the negotiation centers. They are not giving services. Talk about the MDA, the NEMA. If you look at the value of what NEMA is doing, for me as Edward, I don't see any value, because wetlands, forests have really been gone. But then that department is there. We are paying people every month a lot of money. Last but not least, Mr. Moderator, I think we need to put tough punishments on people who are involved in these scandals. Yes, because we have not seen that. We have not seen that coming. The president have actually mentioned about it, but we have not seen him becoming tough on punishments. In other countries, you know what they do? We can also copy. Somebody is having mansions, they take him to Rizira, 2 months, 3 months, he comes out, but they cannot even repress the money they are saying he stole, really. So I think we need to harmonize and really love our country. Most importantly, become patriotic and love our country. That's when we can really fight corruption. But at the end of it all, Mr. Moderator, it's the leader, the overall, the president of this nation that can really give morale to us who are on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And lastly, Mr. Advocy, Mr. Rugaju, what recommendations would you give in, you've been so excellent in suppressing the efforts, trying to fight against corruption. Please, what, ideas do you have in terms of fighting the corruption itself to see that it is reduced, or in other words, eliminated from our society?
Yes, each Ugandan should get involved in fighting corruption. That's one. Number two, we should work on mindset change through advocacy. And number two, we should repent and turn away from this evil, because corruption is an evil that is eating our society. Everyone should get involved in the fight against corruption, not one or two, because corruption, as I have said, is in our families, is in our churches, is in our mosques. So everyone should get involved in fighting against corruption. Number four is that think outside the box. Look at the things and the evils, and if you hate them, then corruption will be fought. Number five is reinforcing the anti-corruption agencies. Number six is we need transparency and accountability for each and everyone, from family to any organization, enforcing laws and policies, and tough punishments to those who are corrupt. If we do the following, the ones I've talked about, and we have a political will of the president, I am very sure corruption will end.
Mr. Gad Rugaju, Deputy RDC, Kanungu District, thank you so much for those amazing views and for making time to join us today. Mr. Edward Natamba, thank you so much for your amazing views and for making time to join us today on the conversation. Honorable Emily Namara from Mbale City, Deputy Mayor, thank you so much for your views and for joining us today. Lillian from Mbale, thank you so much for your views and for joining us today. And Gloria Chelangat from Kapchorwa, Thank you so much for your amazing views and for joining us on this conversation today. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for joining Community Voices Uganda on Civic Space TV. Special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance for really making this possible, and special thanks to the technical team out there. Thank you for making sure everything is in order to see that we have this conversation and we have it airing at such a time. From me, Philip, Mulliisa, I say good evening and may you have freedom.